Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to our YouTube Live, folks. Today, the discussion is the Intra Company Transfer, ICT, whatever you want to call it, it's the Intra Company Transfer. The infamous one. This is one of the highest volume business work permit categories in Canada, and also a significant program for other countries across the globe, USA, EU region, UK, for their own intercompany transfer programs. So many lawyers, agencies, consultants, and applicants themselves apply for the ICT work permits either for existing operations inside Canada, looking to move their staff overseas to come in, or new startup intercompany transfer cases from overseas seeking to set up a branch, subsidiary, or affiliate inside Canada. The latter is obviously typically for entrepreneurs and business owners or expanding businesses looking for an efficient way to enter Canada to find a solution to either for business purposes, and sometimes, of course, entrepreneurs and business owners are looking for permanent or some kind of immigration using the intercompany transfer program. Okay. Is the intercompany transfer easy to qualify for? Will it lead to permanent residency? What makes an application stand out or company overseas eligible for the intercompany transfer to Canada? We'll find out in today's YouTube live stream, which is unedited, no special effects, and exposed truth, just like the rest of our videos on our YouTube channel. And folks, we're going to, of course, do a quick presentation or introduction. Who am I? What am I doing? Why am I talking? And so on. And then we'll dive deep into the intercompany transfer qualifying factors, the key points to know, whether it's you can obtain permanent residency or not eventually, what the potential pathways are. And then we'll go into the question and answer of our YouTube live audience, like AMKH and Safa. Okay. Who am I? I'm Reza from England, Canada, licensed immigration practitioner. Our office specializes in cross-border solutions for businesses, families, individuals, and so forth. Why are we posting this video? Well, it's for the purpose of sharing our hands-on immigration knowledge with our worldwide audience, including, but not exclusive to, existing clients, potential new applicants, and immigration consultants, agencies, and lawyers, wherever you are in the world. If you're thinking about immigrating, we're here to help. Get a free email assessment with us by filling out the form down below. And of course, if you're an active immigration practitioner or business, we can assist you with outsourcing your back office operations, including assessments, processing, pre and post landing support, and of course, expanding your horizons. So not just doing one country immigration, you need to have a diverse portfolio. More options than just startup visa. We can do Canada, Panama, New Zealand, Portugal, Dubai, Greece, UK, and beyond. Some recent success stories we've had: an SUV work permit. The second co-founder of an existing group, we had received their approval for the first work permit co-founder after a second attempt. The second co-founder received it in the first attempt, and they were based in the GCC region, looking to come to Canada. Total processing time 42 days. We had a high-wage LMIA for user support technician for a company in Ontario, which was approved. We submitted the LMIA application on April 9th, received the approval May 16th. The LMIA is valid for 6 months. No interview or request additional documentation by Service Canada. It was just a straight-out approval. Total processing time for this high-wage LMIA is 37 days. We also received a low-wage position, automobile accessories install and repair, LMI, which was approved for a company also in Ontario. We submitted the LMI application April 9th, received approval May 17th. The LMI is valid for 12 months. No interview requesting additional information by Service Canada for this LMI. Total processing time for this low-wage LMI in Ontario, 38 days. Keep in mind, every province has different timelines typically, because we've seen some provinces which are significantly slower than some other ones. We received a low-wage LMI for a food laborer position in Nova Scotia for a bulk grocery butcher shop. That processing time was totally 30 days. A high-wage LMI for carpenter in BC for cabinet installation company. This was the first ever LMIA. We did not submit an attestation letter for this specific case, but 95% of all new LMIA cases do require an attestation letter from a CPA lawyer or the bank. Total processing time for this high wage in BC is 34 days. Remember, if you're in BC, you do need that employer registration for foreign recruitment license, which does take 3 months before you can actually apply for an LMI. Okay, let's get started, folks, with the intercompany transfer. Okay, the ICT, which is an LMI exempt category of the International Mobility Program. Okay. It facilitates the temporary transfer. Hold on, folks. It facilitates the temporary transfer of workers, staff management between existing operations or new operations with Canada and overseas. So either you are a multinational and you're operating in Canada and you want to bring in your staff inside, or you are a brand new, you want to set up a brand new branch, subsidiary, affiliate in Canada, and you're an operating business overseas that meets the qualifications. So that's key. So let's see if your business is eligible. In order to be eligible to apply for ICT, your staff or management must be either in an existing operation in Canada or abroad, and have to be on payroll for at least 1 year or have been being paid, even if it's dividends or management bonuses, in order to qualify to apply for the ICT. It can be management, key staff, and we'll cover that. There must be a qualifying relationship between the foreign entity and the Canadian company, whether it's an existing Canadian company or one that you are setting up, such as a parent, subsidiary, or branch or affiliate relationship. If you have established a business back home, you can open a branch, right, in Canada that will be controlled by the majority stakeholder in the original headquarters overseas. Successful ICT applications clearly define and document the relationship between the involved entities. For example, a subsidiary is defined as a company majority owned and controlled by the parent company, either directly or indirectly. An affiliate is characterized as two entities under common ownership and control. A branch represents a division or office of the same company, but in a different location, right, folks? Let me bring this down here. It's crucial for both the Canadian and the foreign entity to be well established and operational. For companies new to Canada, strengthening the application can include steps like opening a Canadian bank account, funding it, undertaking reconnaissance, exploratory visits, and securing agreements with Canadian clients or key partners. Immigration officers assess the viability of the Canadian operation based on a solid business plan or maybe even an executive summary and potential for job creation or any sort of social or cultural benefits to Canada, significant benefit, unless you are from a country where a bilateral agreement is in place and an ICT stream is available where you do not need to justify significant benefit because there's a bilateral agreement in place. Like it could be Colombia, it could be Mexico, it could be the US, it could be the UK, it could be Korea, it could be most parts of Europe, right? Australia, for example. So keep that in mind, folks. Funds to support the operations. This is a regular question we always receive for the intercompany transfer program. The Canadian government doesn't actually set or state a minimum investment for this program. However, companies must be financially sound and have required capital to support the new operations in Canada, or whether it's bringing in talent from overseas into your existing operations in Canada. In our experience, successful ICT cases are ones where the business demonstrates solid gross sales exceeding a certain threshold, which lead to profits, and the profitability or retained earnings are higher than the proposed investment in the new Canadian entity. This is specifically for new startups that are overseas and want to set up a branch. If you're an existing operation here and you're bringing in somebody from one of your overseas affiliate subsidiaries or branches, then as long as you can show that you can actually afford to pay that person's salary, you should be fine. These funds should be liquid and unencumbered. Funds to cover the first year's operations for new ICT startups and initial capital investment must be made available and put at risk inside Canada. Additionally, the business should demonstrate access to further funds or assets to support operations in Canada if it does not reach self-sufficiency by the end of year one. We don't really recommend like fixed assets, something that can be liquidated in literally like a week, a day. So liquid funds or investments are obviously the best source of funds when you're trying to justify your case as a new intra-company transfer branch setting up in Canada. Remember, we're always posting about key details of new programs, immigration and mobility programs, and programs specifically for professionals, investors, and entrepreneurs. And if that's what you're interested in, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel for more deep dive videos. What are the qualifying roles and experience? Well, the employee must be employed continuously by the foreign company in a similar full-time position for at least 1 year within the last 3 years preceding the application for the ICT. The position in Canada must be managerial, executive level, or specialized knowledge. There is no in between. Those are the 3 categories that are possible. A successful application must include comprehensive documentation that verifies the legitimacy of the company's operations in Canada and the qualifying relationship and the employee's role. This includes proof of the corporate relationship, organizational structure, contracts, detailed job description, obviously, perhaps reference letters. It could be specialized nature of the employee's role. So that was highlighting those description of their job and their skill set. IRC's criteria for what constitutes a senior manager, functional manager, or an expert who possess specialized knowledge are quite stringent. To show executive capacity for the applicant who wants to get the work permit, it should be the employee must primarily be working directly for the organization, establish organizational goals and objectives, be in charge of decision making, be supervised only by higher level executives or directors or C-level. They should also be directing the management of the organization or major components of the business, establishing goals, policies, and so forth. This is basically what we recommend for the executive roles. As managerial capacity, basically in management or supervision type roles, have authority to hire and fire and oversee day-to-day operations. And of course, managing specific departments or subdivisions. That's key. Lastly, to have specialized knowledge in the intercompany transfer, applicants would be required to demonstrate a high degree of company-specific expertise related to the company's products or services with advanced knowledge gained through significant or recent experience within the organization. So it could be a project, it could be a product, it could be some kind of research, it could be, just something custom made, who knows, right? But it can be a million things, to be honest with you. So which allows the applicant for the ICT work permit who's working in your company to contribute significantly to the employer's productivity in Canada. Will the intercompany transfer lead to permanent residency? That's the $1 million question. The intercompany transfer program is a temporary work permit program and not for permanent immigration. It's a federal program which can be applied for any province, right? Even Quebec. But there's no direct PR path for intracompany transfer, okay? However, as of May 30th, 2024, so if the rules change, which in Canada they do quite often, there's officially no quick path or shortcut to convert an ICT work permit to PR without going to express entry. So all those PNPs we were talking about in our older videos that you may have watched, those are long gone. Goodbye. All routes lead to express entry with ICT if anyone is looking for PR, which means that if the main ICT applicant is not express entry eligible and cannot justify a 200-point C-level position in the company structure inside Canada, then it will be another sequel of Mission Impossible. But instead of Tom Cruise being the star of the movie, it'll be you or your client with a sad ending. Keep in mind, the first year ICT work permits for new startups will be a 1-year work permit eligible for a 2-year renewal. And if it's an operational business in Canada, you can request a 2-year work permit or longer. So how do you get successful when applying through ICT program? What are the key criteria? You need to justify why the foreign employee's presence in Canada is urgently necessary, why the role cannot be easily filled by the Canadian worker. So let's say if you have an existing operation, and the positive impacts of the foreign worker's presence in Canada. This could be transfer of skills to Canadians and Canadian PRs, or if you're a new startup, of course, creating employment opportunities. Clearly explain the employee's position, professional history, educational experiences, and capacity to fill the job, right? This has to come with a lot of documentation, employees' pay stubs, tax returns, contract, letters of employment, training certificates, degrees, and so forth. Meeting the job regulations is also a key step. Carefully creating the offer of employment for the person you're bringing over. So even if it's yourself or your own company, pay the employer compliance fee and attach all the supporting documentation linking the submitted job offer to the work permit application as well. It's important to note that the stay obtained through this program is temporary in nature. So the applicant must demonstrate non-immigrant intent, meaning they plan to leave Canada, so ties to the home country, such as family, property, assets, that employment back home. And remember, with ICT, the headquarters have to continue to operate. Okay, so if the headquarters is in Canada, great. That's for Canadian entities looking to bring in from overseas. But if you're a new startup and you're coming in from anywhere, India, Pakistan, China, Korea, Nigeria, Ghana, Dubai, Brazil, Mexico, US, you have to show that the headquarters, wherever that is outside, will continue and will be continuously operating while the subsidiary branch or affiliate in Canada operates. That is paramount. And of course, for your renewals, that will also have to be shown. Unless you're a Canadian business with affiliates overseas, if you're a new startup and you're not a Canadian PR and you're planning to bring and set up a branch of affiliate or subsidiary in Canada, you need to make sure that at no point will the Canadian entity become your headquarters. I mean, at least on paper. Lastly, it's crucial that the transfer significantly benefits the Canadian company by enhancing its global competitiveness or local. Successful ICT cases demonstrate alignment with Canada's broader economic interests. This could be preventing the disruption of employment of Canadians, using considerable work experience in negotiating, concluding business transactions, advancing Canadian industry into market expansion, job creation, and product or service innovation, preventing a disruption in major Canadian events which may have job implications, creating employment or training Canadians, that's key. And of course, in certain cases, social cultural benefits in any way, which is not as common, but in certain industries it is. And of course, the economic stimulus. And, in remote areas, for example. So these are just examples. You could make a million variations of what I just said and still get approved or be refused. If you like immigration hacks, creative immigration solutions, or key analysis, and the exposed truth about immigration policies and updates, then you can click on the subscribe button for our YouTube channel. And in conclusion, of course, getting an approval with an ICT involves demonstrating the substantial interconnection and qualifying relationship between the foreign entity and the Canadian business entity, whether it's new or existing. The foreign employee's critical role fitting into those three categories, which RCC has opened up for ICT, and expertise and that knowledge of that applicant, meeting those criteria, well documented. Financial stability with sufficient capital to support the Canadian operations if you're a new startup, and a detailed plan showcasing potential economic contributions, perhaps some projections, economic benefit, and so forth. I hope that's been helpful. If you're thinking about immigrating, whether permanently or temporarily, anywhere in the world, you're at the right place. We just don't offer immigration, but we offer solutions, cross-border solutions. I can guarantee only one point. We'll be there until the end, meaning that the immigration is not perfect. We all know that, or you should know that. It can be slow, painful, and lots of unexpected surprises with government policy changes and program updates. Can any airplane pilot, as an example, guarantee a perfect flight without the slightest turbulence? Probably not. The same goes for immigration. What our commitment to you is that we will give you the good news and the bad news and work with you to resolve any issues that may come up until you achieve the result you hired us for. We won't leave you stranded when it becomes a bit challenging sometimes, which it will. We're there until the end, no matter what, the good and the ugly. You're in full control of which program you choose for your global mobility. We give you all the options, your eligibility, and then you decide. Does your local immigration agency or consultant do that? We have a $1 million liability insurance which protects us and you from fraud or mistakes, as well as a dedicated client trust account with our Canadian banking institutions. Our team speaks over 10 languages, and we've helped applicants from over 50 countries, and that number is growing every day. Click the link below this video, get a free email assessment for eligible applicants only. If you're ready to apply on like a one-on-one session with me or one of my immigration team members at Ingwe, you can also book a session directly using the consultation link in the description of this video. And if you want to take our immigration knowledge for test drive before you book the one-on-one, well, just tune into our YouTube live every week, streamed here on YouTube, where we answer all of your immigration questions for free on the spot to the best of our capacity. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified when we will go online during the week and at what time. Okay, folks, here we go. We are live. Okay, AMKH. We're going to read the questions from our and comments from our YouTube audience. AMKH, our SUV group consists of only me and my wife. Okay, I am the essential member. We submitted 2 PR applications under the same SUV group. Ooh, this sounds a little bit off. I applied and my wife and children were my dependents. And my wife also applied. No, you can't do that. You cannot have a husband and wife applying at the same time for the PR. And our children were her dependents. I received my permanent file number in March and a request from her for business progress and certain forms in September 2023. My wife received her permanent file number in August 2023, and in January 2024, she was asked for updated medical exam for herself. We haven't received any updates. AMKH, you cannot have 2 concurrent PR applications being processed because so the officer didn't realize. So you have to fix this, AMKH. You cannot have your wife and you having concurrent PR processing going on, and especially not in the same SUV group. So I understand that this was a mistake, no hard feelings, but you got to fix it. So whoever is more advanced, okay, who's essential? So you're an essential member. So you cannot withdraw yours. You'll be refused. She'll be refused. So you have to send an explanation letter, okay, to the officer handling your file and your wife's file that you are requesting a withdrawal of her file because you were not aware that you should not have 2 permanent residency applications going since you're both co-founders of the startup. And therefore, this is not in line with the IRCC regulations. So you will remain the co-founder with the main PR application and your wife will withdraw. So basically, she will remain a shareholder. She will remain as part of the startup, but she is not going to be processed for PR as a main applicant, but as a dependent of you. So that is very, very important, AMKH, because the officer didn't realize, because the officers, sometimes they're busy or maybe they're just watching, some show while they're doing your processing. They didn't catch on that your wife, who's the second co-founder, non-essential, is actually your wife, your spouse. Okay, because if they caught on to that, they would have immediately withdrawn her or requested that you withdraw her. So you need to initiate that because this will be a problem. You cannot have 2 PR files for the same people because you'll get PR through your file for you and your wife and your child, and then she will get a PR. So how can you have 2 PRs for one person? It just doesn't make sense. Yes. So you need to initiate that. You're an essential member, so you are not withdrawing. She has to. So she sends that letter. Okay. She will send a letter that she is withdrawing her permanent residence application due to the fact that, because you weren't aware. So make sure you word that correctly. It's clear. Make sure they don't by mistake withdraw both of you. It's IRCC, anything can happen. So please, please, please do that. Okay. Should we expect further communication? Will they simply send us final decision? Yeah. Because even if they, let's say AMKH, they didn't realize the officer is either new, clueless, or high on glue. Okay. So what will happen is that, like, it will be a conflict having two PR. Like, imagine two confirmation of PRs. Then what will happen? It'll be stuck somewhere in an embassy or something, because they'll realize, holy moly, we just issued two PRs for the same individuals. And so you want to prevent that. You want to become proactive. So great question, great comment. I know you weren't looking for this answer, but this answer is what you should have been looking for. And this is the most important. It's not about when it'll be processed. It will be processed very soon, but you have to initiate this immediately. So I hope I didn't give you bad news. It's not bad news. It's just like, it's a little bit of a shift of what you were doing. Okay, Safa Saleh. Safa, good to see you online. I sincerely appreciate the time you've taken to read my emails and support my case, even though I'm not officially your client. Thank you, Nancy, for no problem. So I'm a little bit concerned, though, about your case. Like, I'll be very, very honest with that PFL, the procedural fairness letter for your SUV, because it's coming from the core team in Nova Scotia for the SUV, but the question they asked you, it just immediately triggered. They have doubts about something about that SUV. Is it the consultant is red flagged? Is it the designated organization? Is it some information they saw in the file? There's something that triggered that. Okay, so you have to be ready. As I told you before, procedural fairness letter, PFL, is just before refusal. So they've decided they're refusing you, but they're giving you one chance to defend yourself. So, and it was very unusual. That is not what they usually put in a PFL, like that question, like, how did you mean you consultant? So I'm a little bit, I don't know. I lose sleep over that sometimes. M. Jacob, hi Reza. Hey, M. Jacob, nice to see you. Rosita says, hello, Reza June. Hello, Rosita. Nice to see you. Good luck. Casey, hi Reza. For PR, is Nova Scotia PNP better or Alberta AOS? Well, AOS is paused. AOS is not operational now. Nova Scotia beats Alberta any day of the week. Nova Scotia. I mean, Alberta Rural Renewal is good too, but I like Nova Scotia all the way, and it's one of our favorite programs across Canada. And it's actually a livable province. So whoopee-doo. There you go. It's all bonus points. Assuming AOS opens in 2024. Well, AOS is good, but you should be working in. So Nova Scotia PNP, if you are in the in-demand occupations, which is tier 4 or 5, you could, in the in-demand occupations, you can apply for PR from overseas. If you're not, then you work for the employee for 6 months. But if you're in a tier 0, 1, 2, 3, you can apply from overseas. So that's advantage. AOS, you cannot apply from overseas. You got to be inside Canada with a work permit, and you have to meet the eligibility. And there is employer eligibility, KC. Alberta has new employer eligibility, which was launched on March 19th. I think that was the date. I'm not exactly sure. But Nova Scotia doesn't. I mean, I think you just have to be registered for 2 years. That's it. Alberta has, what's the revenue? They should have been registered for minimum 2 years. And then they should have these amounts of people if they want to hire these amounts of people. So it is crazy. I wouldn't recommend it. Faizan Mahbub. Hello. Hello, Faizan. Nice to meet you. Casey, my employer is giving me LMIA and has branch in both provinces, so confused which province. Okay, Nova Scotia, without a doubt. Okay, if your employer is eligible in Nova Scotia, if you're eligible for Nova Scotia program, any day of the week over Alberta, any day of the week. Okay, Nova Scotia is flexible. Alberta is cracking down. They are digging deep into the employer files, okay, and documents. M. Jacob, have you seen any update on SUV PR applications after the PAL? Have anyone received passport requests in the past month? When can we expect our PR receipt end of February? Yeah, it is an interesting thing. I haven't, some of our clients have received it in around February, March, right? I'm Jacob. But after March, we haven't. So maybe they're doing some internal changes, but the PR processing should be going on. I haven't seen any new COPRs being issued and the passport requests in the last 2 months. But again, it could be just a glitch. It could be just a pause. It could be a reshifting, re-engineering of their internal processes. Who knows? But it's good to keep monitoring. So I like that, Jacob. That's you're smart, on the ball, and sharp. You realize there's like this lack, this gap, this void of like passport requests and COPRs not being issued. But anyways, if somebody here watching has received a COPR passport request in the last 2 months, do let us know. So we should continue to monitor that. And I'll let my team know as well. Shakil Sheikh, withdrawn the message. Shana Rafi, hello, Reza John, for the mother company in overseas like Iran. Oh, for the mother company in overseas like Iran. If the company doesn't have a good tax papers, doesn't show real benefit and income, what should we do? Use C11 stud? No. So what you have to do is you have to get a reputable auditing firm in that country to give 3 years audited financials. Then you can overcome the fact that they didn't pay taxes. Then you just need to meet the fact that they have retainer, they have profits. Maybe move the money to Canada, all that sort of stuff. And then when you move the money to Canada, make sure you show that it's coming from the company. Remember, folks, never send ICT funds to the branch or the new account in Canada using the individual entrepreneur, business owner, whoever, investors' personal account. It's got to come from the company. And if your country is sanctioned, like Iran, like Russia, like Cuba, like Venezuela, and North Korea, then you use a third party, which we all do, right? But you have to show the debit, the paperwork that, okay, we've given it to this entity, they've sent it, and now here's the credit. So there's a debit and a credit matching 98%. Safa Saleh, while I'm waiting for a response from RCC regarding my PFL, how long will it take to receive their decision? Usually takes max, unless they're digging into something weird that I don't know about, usually within 60 days, Safa. They usually try to get rid of the stuff quickly, like, move on the file. Is it significant that RCC is inquiring about one of my team members' paperwork for entering the US at the same time as my PFL application? It is significant, whether it has to do with the PFL directly or not, but your applicant should separately, your co-founder, address that. So if there's a misrepresentation, for example, and they're an essential member, then you could be in hot water. Safa Saleh says, if RCC rejects our case, despite our efforts, comprehensive documentation, interviews, and IPs, intellectual property, and what would be the subsequent course of action to defend our business plan? Does the PFL result need to impose a restriction on entry into Canada, 5-year ban, or is not required? If you are not hit with misrepresentation, there is no ban. You can reapply under a different program or tourist or whatever. Obviously, they will always see that your ultimate intention was permanent residency and you were refused. You always have to declare it. Otherwise, you will be hit with misrepresentation. The ultimate thing is, if you are refused for your SUV PR, hopefully not, you can go for judicial review. And however, I would highly recommend getting the GCMS notes of how this officer was thinking, what they were thinking, and what's happened. Why was it refused? If there was an error in law or the officer was using discretionary power beyond the scope of the Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations and the Act, then you can take it for judicial review, which could be a 1-year process. There are lawyers that we work with that are pretty decent, for SUV, that I can always make some recommendations. You can be looking at anywhere from $9,000 to $10,000 per co-founder, sometimes more. Depends how many rounds of hearings they have in court. However, you can't just appeal anything for the sake of appealing. you have to see some red flags by the officer. And that question they ask you, Safa, on that PFL, that first question is a red flag. That you have to get the GCMS notes, figure out why did they ask that. If it's not clear, then you file it with the lawyer. They'll get the internal detailed notes as well through the federal from the judicial review filing. And that could be a reason of why was the officer asking how you met your consultant. Well, I met them on the street. So what? What does that have to do anything with the regulation? So that's why I'm thinking there's more behind it. I don't think that, like, on the surface, I think this officer is going some weird direction. There may have been something that triggered this. More deep dives, but again, judicial review may be an option. Folks, never apply for judicial review for the sake of just appealing. It's got to be a blatant error in law by the officer for you to have a chance of having the court request a assessment by another officer. They can never veto the decision. They can ask IRCC to reprocess the case with another officer, usually more of a senior officer, within the framework of the law that the court has decided on. Okay. Okay. My glasses. I mean, I can't see. I can't read properly. I'm getting old, folks. It's time to retire. Tamsanka Dube. Hi, Reza. Do you know why there are no express entry draws since the last month? Not aware. They are trying to make changes and tweak around. I heard that they're testing regional draws, like they're going to pick from different places people who are within, let's say, express entry inside Canada, but they're living in different provinces or regions. But to be honest with you, I don't know. These are just speculation. Mark, is supply chain management a strategic sector in Canada? It is. It depends on the region and the province, and it could be a strategic in any rural community. It could be strategic, but overall, it depends on the province. Supply chain in Manitoba is huge. In Nova Scotia, it's really booming as well. Tamsanke Dube, what is your take on the healthcare field with a CRS score 441? Any chance? If you know French, for sure. If you don't, you need a boost. You need maybe an offer of employment if somebody's hiring you. Because if you're in healthcare, there's good opportunities. Shakil Sheikh, hello Reza. Appreciate a reply on the below question received via PFL. Were there any intermediaries involved in your SUV process? Ooh, this is another interesting question. Question number 2, received via a PFL number 2. How did I come to know about the intermediaries? Ooh, this is interesting, Shakir, because we were just talking about Safa's case where they asked that question. You're in a PFL number 2. That is interesting. This is interesting. Shakil. Okay, and Safa, I think you're listening too. I'm going to ask Shakil if he's okay to email the PFL. I'll have a look at it. Then what I need you guys to do is tell us, not now in public view, who the intermediary consultant is. Because if it's the same for both of you, then that means that consultant is red flagged. So we can actually combine both of these PFL information to figure out if it's the same officer, Shakil, because we have another audience member who received similar questions through one PFL, and 2, if you have any overlapping similarities in your cases. So therefore, we can dissect what's going on with your procedural fairness letter under the SUV program and figure out what is it that triggered it. Same officer who's being very adventurous, or is it the designated organizer? Is it the consultant that you're working with? We need to cross-reference everything. Shakil, I don't know if you, can you email our office? This is our email office. I just put it here. Shakil. Yeah. email us your PFL if possible, because we can actually help each other, exchange of information. That's why everyone joins this group as well. Our YouTube live is we share information, because IRCC doesn't want that. IRCC is like, it operates individually. It's like a Terminator. It's like a sniper. What do snipers want? They don't like groups. They pick off people one by one, right? That's what the IRCC officers do. And by the way, IRCC officer, if you're watching this, no offense, snipers are pretty cool. There's a lot of games with cool snipers, but all I'm saying is that they pick you off and they don't want you talking to each other. And that's exactly what everyone should be doing, is sharing information to figure out, what is this officer doing? Is this a normal trend? Why are they picking on this SUV group or the other SUV group? So this is very significant. I've shared the office email address. Please email me the PFL. I can coordinate so you guys can exchange information, or I can extract some key details, and then we can come to some conclusions. Because if you don't know why they're asking that, how can you overcome their doubts and their skepticism about your SUV case to have an approval? Very important, folks. Nikki Patel, hello Reza. Hey Nikki, long time, nice to see you. Faizan Mahbub, hi Reza, thanks for all of your insightful streams and videos. Too bad you are not a full-time YouTuber. That's a good one. Yeah, full-time means full-time. I am doing other things full-time, working with our office, right? I have been denied a TRV to Canada in January 2020, as I had no travel history then. I have since then traveled twice a year and been to Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Oman, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Uzbekistan. Okay, those don't count, according to Canadian Embassy, just so you know. Keeping in mind that I am a Pakistani national with UAE residence for 30 years, will adding a Japan stamp, like an entry stamp, I have a Japan e-visa, help me for the TRV application, or would I still need a US, UK, Schengen? Lastly, will having an unused US visa help? I may get a B1, B2 soon. Okay, lots of questions, Faizan, but good. That's why we're here for. Okay, all those previous countries, they won't really help you. Japan helps. Not as significant as Schengen, UK, Australia, New Zealand, US. When you get the US one, significant. So if you're reapplying, get the US one. Maybe, okay, even if you haven't used it. If you have a Japan one, great. All the other stamps, but the US one will be the most significant factor. But then they'll look at the rest of it. So it doesn't mean if you have a US, you're approved 100%. No. What are your assets in Pakistan and UAE? Because you're an expat here. You're temporary in the UAE. That's how they look at it, right? The embassy in UAE is brutal. The one in Abu Dhabi, it is the worst. There's two bad Canadian embassies overseas. I think the top three is Poland, Abu Dhabi. They're like competing against number one to be the worst ones. Then Pretoria in South Africa. I think those are the top three. So be careful. It doesn't mean you'll be approved 100%, but if you apply from Pakistan, you may have a better chance. But if applying from Pakistan means your employment, you've got assets, you've got residency there. I mean, in terms of like you're actually present there. And if you have a stronger presence that you can prove in Pakistan, great. But if not, then you're stuck with the UAE embassy. Okay. What do we got, folks? Some good questions. Nikki Pata, is it true that RCC refuses applications on our SUV program? No, they're not refusing all applications, Nikki, just so you know. Just whatever applications don't meet the eligibility and admissibility of current regulations. Otherwise, the approval rate has been pretty decent, but there are refusals all the time. Faizan, yes, we answered. Layli Reza, hello, sir, hello back. Faizan Mahbub Maya, we answered the questions. Okay, here we go, folks. Here we go. Lots of questions. I've got bad eyesight, I'm telling you. Okay, Tamsanko Dube. Employer has a Gmail as their email. They don't have a domain email address. Will this be a problem when I send employment reference letter? Not necessarily, but it has to be a solid employer. Like you have to put other documentation that they've been working for this long. They are operational. It's legit, right? So just overcome any doubts that Gmail may initiate. So you got to put in good documentation. AMKH, we have been advised by an RCC code that it is better to have 2 PR applications. Holy moly. I'm sorry, AMKH. You can't have 2 PR applications for the same people. It just, like I don't know how to explain this, but you cannot. So this is going back to the question that a husband and wife, a couple, are in the same SUV group and they've both submitted a PR application together, one essential, one non-essential. They advised you incorrectly, MKH. I'm sorry, but they advised you 100% incorrectly. I highly advise you consult with more experienced consultants who have been in the business for 6 to 10 years or 8 to 10 years to validate what I just said to you. So if I know my advice is free here on YouTube, but you can pay $450 to a lawyer and they can just validate that. But no offense, but please don't. You'll get all twisted up with the embassy and the PR processing when they realize you guys are one couple, one family, and dependent. So it's kind of like having, it just doesn't work. Okay. So I hope I've clarified that. Nikki, why is RCC taking too much time to send COPR after PAL? That we were just talking about that with Jacob M. Could be the internal shift, changing of things. Maybe they're redesigning. Who knows? RCC is always a black box. Nobody knows yet. We'll know in 2 years. That's kind of like the JFK assassination. Like 50 years later, it's like, yeah, it was so-and-so, right? Well, we still don't know that. But the point is RCC is a black box. We'll know later on what happened during this time period, but nobody will know as of today unless we have a whistleblower in the RCC. And they won't be whistleblowers because they want a nice pension afterwards. They want all their benefits, right? Adriana, hi Reza. I hope all is well. My common law husband are interested in moving to an Atlantic province with me being the primary applicant. Is anyone able to assist me or provide guidance? I mean, it depends on the program. Because Adriana, weren't you doing like you were doing a program? I remember. And I have bad memory, but I remember, obviously, we've interacted on YouTube Live. You were applying under a specific skilled worker or PR program or not, but yes, definitely. AMKH, we explained that in my wife's application that we have been advised by an RCC regulated consultant that it's better to have 2 PR. That's okay, AMKH. It's not your fault, right? Definitely not your fault. And RCC will know that. And make sure you name that consultant. But you have to initiate that from your wife right away, because it's not like you're approved, she's refused, or well, they'll withdraw hers. They'll realize at some point. But the point is, if they realize this later on that you're not two different families, then it will just complicate your confirmation of PR. Or imagine you have to send your passport twice to the embassy to get a confirmation of PR. You'll arrive to Canada with 2 visas. It just doesn't happen, right? So it'll complicate things later down the line. You want to fix it right now, okay? So, yeah, I mean, that's my advice. I mean, you can take it, but that's just, that's a huge issue. And can everyone kind of confirm here in the YouTube channel, like you cannot send some hearts, do some thumbs up. I don't care, but you cannot have 2 PR applications being processed by the RCC for the same individuals. Okay. So when they see that it's 2, they'll withdraw one, right? But you don't want them not to realize and make a mistake, because so far that officer has not realized that you 2 are together. Okay. So anyways, Shaquille. Hello, dear Reza. PR application done in July 2022 under SUV. No AD acknowledgement or any query received so far. No medical too. Should we be concerned? Yes, please raise a web form, but you cannot raise a web form because you don't have a PR file number. Please check if it was a paper, if it was an online version. At that point, it was paper. You should have received an acknowledgement within 30, 45 days. See who actually submitted to you. Please have your consultant, agency, lawyer, whoever, family member, follow up, whoever advised and help you on that. Because we have clients who applied at that point or before, after even, and they've been processed or they're under process. You do need it. It is taking 19 months though, right now, to get a acknowledgement and a permanent file number. So if you do 1223, yeah, I mean, in the next 4 months, you have to be getting something, Shaquille. I mean, if it's not, then it's a problem. Safa, thanks, Rosa, for your comprehensive response. I'm sure we will be in touch for fighting RCC. I'm ready for Plan B anyway. Safa, what's your Plan B? I mean, you don't have to tell us here, but just good to know. It's always good to have Plan B, I'm telling you. AMKH, do you think it is a good idea to send RCC an updated business report, or is it better to wait for the communication requests? As I mentioned, I received requests in September. So if you responded correctly, wait for the next question. At this point, don't initiate anything like, oh, here's some additional information. Never volunteer information that they have not asked for, or that does not support an answer that is related to directly one of their questions. That's my advice. Adriana, hi Reza. I'm currently employed, loved with the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards as a laboratory technician for consumer product. Which NOC code will work? Well, I don't have the exact NOC code for you, Adriana. Can I utilize a STEM PR route? Also, I have a BSc Human Ecology major in Consumer Sciences and Nutritional Science. Yeah, I mean, most of the skilled worker programs, as you know, Adriana, are employer driven, so meaning you have to be hired unless you become self-employed through some investment. But the category-based selection draws, you'd have to check if your NOC code meets, like your job duties meet any of those NOC codes that are eligible on the website, right? And if you have enough points for express entry. These are things to note. So you have to do an assessment. Mir Anwar, hi Reza. Hey Mir, nice to see you. Hi Reza, we applied for the SUV PR in April 3rd, wondering if the changes announced on 29th would affect our cases. We're not in the new product. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Mir Anwar, secondly, when should we submit our SUV progress review or wait to the RCC? Every 6 months. So continuous communication with the designated organization, assuming it's an incubator. And then every 6 months, IRCC a progress report of what's being done. GGR 800. I like that name. Hello, Reza. My name is Ali. I have applied for express entry and received an acknowledgement of receipt on 16th March 2024. Okay. Till date, as per tracker and RCC, college, and I have passed the eligibility medical biometric continued. Where are you? GGR 80. Info sharing and criminality, but security check has not started yet. What are the chances of ADR and PFL at this stage? Moreover, what normally visa officer looks in security check? Okay, GGR 800. In terms of whether you get a PFL or not, that depends on your eligibility. Express entry, they don't usually issue PFLs. So it's either you're approved or you're not approved. In terms of the processing time, the security check and everything, that takes its own time, right? So usually within 6 months, but sometimes with certain nationalities, because the security check is longer, it can take up to 10 months. But this year you will have a decision. It's very fast. So sometimes you get it in 4 or 5 months, right? Usually it's within 6 months, but certain nationalities take longer. Faisal Mahmoud, brilliant. We were expecting you to say that. Faisal, thanks so much. No problem. Mir Anwar, unlike AMKH, I was the essential worker in my SUV case. And obviously I filled PR for my family based on my case. Guess it's not an issue as if his case, and we filled SUV case from within Canada. Mir, if you and your spouse, one of you is a main applicant in the PR, not both of you. So that's fine. You can be shareholders of the company or startup, but you cannot have 2 PR applications going. GGR 800, yeah, we checked. Adriana, I was looking at the student stream, but at the moment it's extremely messy. Yeah, I mean, it can be. Student stream is interesting too, but you'd have to pick the right program that can actually like facilitate a PR later on or easier, because it is time consuming and costly. Faisal Mahmoud, will having property in the UAE help better ties? We don't much have ties in Pakistan as I lived here most of my. It helps a lot, but Pakistan is important in your case and anyone's case who's in the GCC and not a local, right? So I'm not saying, with the US visa will really help Faisal. So if you don't have property in Pakistan, don't go out buying property in Pakistan. Not a good time. So get everything ready as much as you can. Have something in Pakistan, right? Or even if you have parents who can transfer a property in your name, who knows? That could help, and then apply. The US visa will be of significant help. MH, Harris, I hope you're well. I have applied to the Canada Startup Visa Program and received my permanent file number, but the other co-founders have not. We're currently in a dispute with our founder who is not assisting. Should I withdraw my PR application to avoid a potential additional document request and possible denial by RCC? Can RCC process my application? Okay, so I don't know why the dispute between your founders, but the point is, if you're non-essential, you can withdraw. If they're non-essential, right? So you're in a group together in SUV. You can't just split halfway through unless none of you want the PR, right? Or unless you're non-essential and they're essential and you're just withdrawing, in which case you don't want to come to Canada. So it's a loaded question, MH. Prince Nikafu, greetings from Cameroon. Greetings. What is the best immigration bar for investors without IELTS and time frame for progress? If you know French, Quebec Investor Program. If you don't know French, then there is no program that can lead to permanent residency at the moment, May 30th, 2024, without proof of language in either English or French. You can come here through like one of the entrepreneur programs or Intra Company Transfer, C10, 11 self-employed entrepreneur programs, investing, but they will not give you a PR. And then you can work towards your PR if you have proof of language. Shaquille, appreciate Reza, your gem. Thank you, Shaquille. MH, as other co-founders don't receive their file number. So MH, tell them they will book a consultation with me. Within 4 or 5 months, they should have a file number. Right now, I think everyone's agreeing that there's been some changes internally in RCC. Things have been kind of slowing down, but they will get permanent file numbers. It's normal for certain co-founders. Some randomly get the file number earlier. Some get the confirmation PR earlier, but within the several months, you'll all get it. Faizan Mahmoud, thanks. You're brilliant. Thank you, Faizan. Appreciate it, everyone. Our 1 hour is up. We'll be back here next week. What time or date, I don't know. You got to subscribe to our YouTube channel. How about we put a few thumbs up on the video? Otherwise, my marketing department will fire me without benefits and no pension. Okay? Thanks, everyone. And remember, don't apply for the sake of applying. Apply with a plan. Okay? And keep in mind, Canada is not the only option. There's a lot of countries which are much easier, faster, and also quite nice. AMK8 says, do you think the processing time for PR under SUV can take 37 months for those applied in 2022, or you can expect less time? I've seen a lot of different things. So depending on when you applied, AMK8, most of them have been processed within that less than 3-year timeline from 2022. That's what we've seen. But there are some random cases which have taken longer, but it depends on multiple factors. The majority have been processed as of 2022. M. Jacob, thanks, Rosie, for your camera. Thank you, M. Jacob. Giga800, thanks a lot for your response. Could you please guide us to what is the security check and what visa officers looks in security? So they check with the international databases like Interpol, the country where you resided or lived in, to do a cross-check of the data. And if the relationship with Canada is not good, China, Iran, these places, North Korea, all these places, then what happens is the security check drops. By the way, I'm from Pakistan. Well, as long as the Pakistani government is still operating, then hopefully you should have something soon. You did say March, you submitted your PR application, so we're in April, May, June. No, you're good. We're less than 6 months. Maybe tomorrow, next week, you'll get it. Maybe in 2 months, right? So you're good, Giga800. As long as your eligibility documents, there's no mistakes, because express entry is fast. They just go, give it to you, or they just drop you. That's how it works, okay? There's no messing around. Nikki Patel, thank you, Reza. Thanks, Nikki. Shana Rafi, Reza Jan, between C and C11. What one do you recommend? The ones that I always use one main one. I forgot. I always confuse the two, but I always use one for just regular businesses, okay? Can I tell you? Business applications. So, okay, I think we did C10. Yeah, we do C10. Unless it's a seasonal or seasonal thing, Shauna. We do a C10. for the regular programs. Mir, you're the best. No, I'm not Mir. You guys are the best for joining me and exchanging information. But who was it? Shaquille? Was it Shaquille? Yeah, Shaquille. Send your PFL. I think you guys have the same officer in common as Safa. I can connect you to. We can or you can extract. I can extract info and tell you what the similarities are, so you can find out what this officer is seeing wrong. Why are they asking that question? There's something seriously wrong, and they're not being upfront about it with you. So you need to dive deep, and exchanging information with similar cases is the way to go. Thank you, folks. Faizan, like the video, guys. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the love. We'll see you next week. We're going to talk about SUV. We're going to talk about business immigration. It's going to be a good one next week. And it's going to be my personal thoughts as well of what's going on in the SUV, the new SUV program for people who have not applied yet. After April 20th, is SUV still a good route for new applicants? Yes, it is, but the prices are significantly higher, Mir. GGAR eligibility is passed. That's what IRCC calls agent and tracker said. That's fine, GGAR. So you're just stuck in the security check. Next couple of months, you're good to go. Okay. Shana, something interesting, resident. I applied for C10. I got approval, but the officer changed it to C11. That's a cool one. I've never seen that. So did they explain to you? Get the GCMS notes, Shana, because you don't get GCMS notes just for refusals. You can get it for approvals. That's what I do all the time. Find out why they did that. Apply for the GCMS. Let me know. I'm very interested to find out. Thanks, folks. Gotta go. Boom, boom, boom. I don't know where in the world I am because it's nighttime out there. No clue. Safa, come on, guys, like the episode. Thanks, Safa. Appreciate it. Take care, folks. All the best and good luck with everyone's immigration. Take care, folks. Take care.